Good afternoon to everybody, and thank you for joining us. Maybe good morning to somebody if there are people from the US or Latin America listening to us. We are very, very happy to be here this afternoon. And since we belong to different cultures, and in some cultures, at least some of the South European cultures, we like being a little bit late. We have decided to wait like for 5 minutes until more people join, because we are very happy to say that we have over 300 people, around 325 people registered to the seminar, and at the precise 7 o'clock time, we only had like 75 that had joined. So let's wait for a couple of minutes until everybody is here, and we will start our first seminar on the very interesting issue of artificial intelligence. Thank you for joining, and thank you for your patience.
Oh, we are already around 90 participants.
Okay. I think when we get up to 100, we definitely will start, because I don't think we have to punish people who are on time. That shouldn't be fair.
No, that's right.
Well, it's running fast. We are nearly there.
Richard just gave the information. If maybe we should give the participants the info that they can ask questions and send messages via chat.
Okay.
So.
Well, I think we can start because it's already 5 minutes after the time. So let's start. Well, let me first introduce myself. I'm María Jesús González-Espejo, and I'm here as a member of the board of ELTA, the European Legal Tech Association. For me, it's a pleasure, an honor, and also a challenge, because it's our first webinar. We are trying new technology. We are trying a series of activities to make our associates, our members happy, and also the guests of our members, because today we have an open seminar. People who are not members can join, but we hope that you all join the association in the coming future. Some instructions first. First one is that we have the possibility of making questions, so all of you can pose your doubts, your questions through the chat, and they will be answered. Julia will be helping us with the questions. In case that a question is asked many times, she will probably help us to just have one single question and not too many. And
sure.
Excuse me?
Sure, I will do.
Okay, thank you. And since we are trying the technology, we will try to do our best not to be clumsy, but we need to like change presentation from one another, and that might take some seconds, but we hope to do everything properly. Some other rules that I forgot, Julia, for the audience.
Just the info that we are recording this webinar to put it on YouTube later. Just
okay.
Info.
That's so for all. Those who cannot stay with us until the very end, do not worry, because it will be available there and you can see it at any time when it fits you. Okay, so let's start. The virtual event series are called ELTA Live, and the first topic, I think a topic that worries all of us: are we going to lose our jobs? Are we going to have to learn different skills than the ones we already have to be able to cope with the needs that clients have, or that the different stakeholders that we have? We are going to talk about that. What can artificial intelligence offer to the legal profession, and what does it need from us? Let me first tell you some words about ELTA, the European Legal Tech Association. Is a new association, but is very strong and is growing fast, and we hope to have you all in. We already have on board law firms, companies, legal technology providers, startups, and professionals, individuals who are interested and want to learn more and want to be updated on legal tech and what legal tech can offer to the legal profession. We have a website where you can check what we do, what we offer, our events. And for today, we have created the hashtag ELTA Live. We hope that you all can make us be trending topic. So we invite you to write Twitters, and our account, if you want to mention us, is at ELTA-account. What is ELTA? What does ELTA want to do? ELTA wants to research and can do it because we have a very interesting thing is that we have members in many countries, in most European countries, and therefore we can do benchmarking, we can compare what is going on, and that is always very, very helpful. There is very little information on legal tech, on the impact on technology, on internet in the profession, and we think we have a goal and a mission to do there. We can also inform, and we want to inform our members on regulations, on news, on what is going on the state of the art. We want to train. This is the example, these webinars, and we are going to do more things. Workshops are planned, etc. Network. I think network is one of the key things because for the development of legal tech and to learn, you have to know people, and I think that's difficult to do it without a network. And finally, lobby. We want to be considered as somebody, as an organization who can offer something to Europe and to the European Commission, the European Parliament, and also the national government. So that's what we do. And let me tell you a few things about the webinars. The main goal of these webinars is to keep our members informed about the state-of-the-art technology, as well as the challenges and trends for the legal environment. They're going to be a serial, and we have decided to organize the webinars in 3 categories. These are going to be benchmarking, legal innovation and tech. We want to talk about as well challenges and trends, so the future, and then legal innovations and tech in depth. When? So they are going to be a month webinar. Probably in the summer we won't do a seminar, and they will be announced to the members by email and also on our website, so be tuned. Who can attend? They're going to be for free for the members, but so for a couple of months, we still haven't decided for how long, we're going to allow members to invite non-members because we want to grow and have all of you on. Today's program. So first is an introduction of the speakers and of myself. Then we are going to talk, I'm going to give you some key ideas about the topic. Then we have Francisco, sorry, but I mistake the author of the presentation. Then it's going to be Paco Martín, talking about artificial intelligence. I had the chance to hear him in another occasion, and he's fantastic and very, very clear. You understand him, which is very good, and Richard, which is also an incredible expert. So we are super lucky to have them both, and thank you to the two of you for accepting our invitation. Then we're going to have a question and answer, but it's going to be questions posed to both speakers, so that they answer to some of the questions that I'm sure that you have. And then you still have the chance to ask whatever I haven't asked to them. And then hopefully we get to some interesting conclusions. So let me start introducing you to Paco and to Richard. Oops, sorry. Okay. Paco is co-founder and CEO of BigML, which I think is big machine learning. He will tell us later. That was my guess. This is a platform, he's going to explain it to us, where everybody is supposed to be able to design its own artificial intelligence platform. So he will explain us, and one of my questions is, Paco, can I, being a lawyer, just get in your platform and be able to build my own artificial intelligence idea, or do I need developers and mathematicians to use it? Paco was founded and led the company Tromans, and as you can see here, he has worked in the States and for the CSIC, which is the National Spanish Research Council. He comes from the academic world, so he holds a 5-year degree in computer science and a PhD in artificial intelligence from the Technical University of Catalonia, and a postgraduate in machine learning from Oregon State University. He holds more than 20 patents in the areas of recommender systems and distributed machine learning. So we are lucky, as you can see here, he's one of the key our influencers in the artificial intelligence, and he is very interested in the legal field. He thinks that there is a lot of potential. That's why we invited him. Richard is a journalist, and he's founder of Tromans Consulting. You have the link to his websites down there, Artificial Lawyer, his publication, and Tromans Consulting, his consultancy. And he advises lawyers on strategy and innovation, including the adoption of legal AI and the new wave technology. He has spent more than 18 years, working in the legal sector in the UK and in global markets. And he is founder of Global Legal AI and new technology site, which is Artificial Lawyer, that I just mentioned, where he writes about artificial intelligence and other tech that interest the sector. So, well, as you can see, we are very lucky. About me, I always say a recycled product and an ex-lawyer. I used to be a lawyer, but I discovered that my real vocation was management of law firms. And in the last years, I have been devoting a lot of time to what I think is the biggest challenge that the legal profession faces in the coming future, which is innovation and legal tech. At the moment, I run two companies, Emprendelaw, a consultancy, and I founded with my partner Laura Foque the Instituto de Innovación Legal, from where we try to transform the legal sector in Spain. So with that, you have enough information about me. About the topic, artificial intelligence is for sure a trending topic. Everybody is talking about it. I would love to know, and you can share those thoughts in the chat, if it's a trendy topic in your country. And if it's not, please tell us, because that would be surprising. Then we should go there and talk about it. Everybody's talking about it, but there is confusion about the terminology, about what it's served for, about the real projects, the real business cases. And today we hope to clarify that a little bit. I hope that we understand after this webinar what artificial intelligence is, how it works, and how it can help and is going to impact on us, on our professions. Okay, let's not be afraid, because I think that it can help us a lot. But I think we are lucky to be in this webinar today, because we are the ones who are already understanding that this is going to change the way we work and the way even our legal systems work. When you look about what artificial intelligence is, the generic name is used to describe a lot of different technologies. I think the common factor is that they all emulate characteristics or capabilities that traditionally the human being does. So this technology refers to machines that learn or autonomously or semi-autonomously from large databases. So here the key things are algorithm, data, and how these serve to think faster, to identify things. Paco will and Robert will explain us more about it. The many areas, so there are a lot of names, Paco and Richard, excuse me, I said before, Robert, which I would like you to explain us which is the right name: machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, neural networks, fuzzy logic, data analytics, and data mining. You hear all kinds of terms, and I'm not sure which are the ones we should be using and for what should we be using them. If you could help us. I research a little bit to do this introduction today, and then you find that there are like 3 big levels. The super intelligence, which apparently is not here yet, or at least Stephen Hawking says that it will be here in some years. Strong AI, I think there are a few examples of that, and the weak AI, and I think that we are at the moment, or at least that's what my deduction, maybe wrong, maybe right, we are at the weak AI step. But please clarify us if that's the case. What does it serve for the legal sector? So when I read the list of things that artificial intelligence can do for us, for human beings, I realized that these are, and maybe I'm wrong, and if you want to add more things to my list, these are the things where I think we really be very happy to have artificial intelligence with us. Reasoning, planning, automating processes, recognizing faces, words, voices, images, handwriting, all kind of ID, diagnose, decision-making, talk, give speeches, control and supervision of tasks, knowledge management, imagine and project results. If there are more things, please feel free to add them to my list. Then the uses. I've been following now for a couple of years what is being done, and my summary of things that already exist is this: future crimes prediction, not only crimes in the broader sense, corruption prevention, big amount of documents analysis in the search of certain type of data, like due diligence things, M&A operations, then advisory in decision making for legislators, judges, lawyers, and bots on any legal field. So now is your turn, guys. Let's first listen to Paco, and then secondly, Richard will explain us his point of view, then questions and answers for you guys, and then for everybody. Richard, excuse me, Paco, it's your turn.
Hello, hi everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen. All
right. So thank you all for joining us today. Thanks to María Jesús and the whole ELTA team for inviting me. It's also an honor to virtually share time and space in this webinar with Richard. So today I'm gonna share my perspective on the impact that artificial intelligence in general and machine learning in particular are going to have on the legal sector. I will do it from the point of view of a technologist and entrepreneur, and I have spent 20 years building intelligence systems and creating technology to help others build their own intelligence systems. My companies have served many legal services businesses over the years and are finding even more ways to do so today. The main takeaways, I think, basically, I would like to make 3 points. AI is farther than it may appear, so lawyers should not panic, at least in the next decade. The second point, machine learning is the real steam power of the 21st century. So lawyers should start learning how it works the same way that they learned how to use word processors decades ago. When I consider the legal industry, I see 2 big opportunities. One, for new law firms that start from scratch, automating every single process from legal management to legal practice. And a second one, for companies that provide automated legal backends for new companies, all right? And I'll explain more about this later. So AI is farther than it may appear, all right? Over the last few years, artificial intelligence has been popularized and exaggerated far beyond its current limits. The media, as well as many non-technical companies, have not been able to separate the wheat from the chaff, all right? As ignorance has no limits, there are now people advocating for some kind of new regulations that can protect us humans against self-conscious machines or even super robots that not only will take over everyone's jobs, but also will take over the whole world. This is happening even before machines can do anything minimally intelligent. If you test and check any so-called intelligent system, you will soon see that the reality is quite different. And we still are decades, no centuries away from artificial intelligence. By testing and checking out, I mean not only evaluating the final system, but also all the manual and human intervention that is currently required to build a very simple intelligence system. Everything that happens behind the scenes, and nobody ever talks about it in the media, right? So anyway, I do think that if something should be regulated, it should be science fiction movies. They should be stopping stimulating our imagination. Of course, I'm just kidding, but let me make the point, all right? The same way that rear mirrors in the US must indicate that objects in mirrors are closer than they appear, I believe that all science fiction movies should make clear that, all right? AI and robots are farther than they may appear. Otherwise, anytime that a little progress is made in AI, opportunists take over, exaggerating the real accomplishment, and a new high bubble is created. Science fiction movies are good at stimulating our imagination, but people need the right education to separate fiction from reality. Let's see a few examples of science fiction predictions of the future that have yet to come to fruition, all right? So 2001, A Space Odyssey, directed by Stanley Kubrick, released in 1968, all right? So 2001 is completely gone with missions to Jupiter, and we haven't seen HAL 9000 computers yet, all right? Westworld, directed by Michael Crichton, released in 1973. Have you ever seen a futuristic park with androids, all right? We didn't see them in 1983 nor in 2018, all right? So the new HBO TV show timeline gives a little bit more of time for the androids to become self-conscious, as the events are depicted will be happening in 2052, all right? Blade Runner, directed by Ridley Scott in 1982, the movie is set in 2019 and depicts a world with bioengineered replicants, all right? The Nexus 6 should have been built by 2016. Have you seen any? So the new Blade Runner is set in 2049, and certainly we have some more time to create some artificial intelligence now. And a curiosity about Blade Runner, even if they were predicting replicants and cars flying by 2019, you can still see newspapers and CTR displays in such a futuristic world, all right? And just to finish, the Terminator, all right, directed by James Cameron in 1984, So Judgment Day was, fortunately, August 29, 1997, didn't happen, all right? Skynet suddenly didn't become self-aware. And if you look at movies like Back to the Future, all right, we were already past October 21, 2015, when the traveling happened, all right? So anyway, if you ever need to define AI, one of the greatest definitions is to build systems like the ones in the movies, all right? So to conclude this point, lawyers and many other professionals do not need to be worried about a super smart robot taking their jobs anytime soon, all right? We still need many more science fiction movies to inspire many future generations to make it happen, all right? So while AI is clearly overhyped, machine learning is still underrated. As Francois Cholet, a prominent Google researcher, put it a few weeks ago in his Twitter feed, people underestimate how much can be achieved with traditional machine learning when applied systematically, right? Machine learning is the real steam power of this century. Machine learning is a specific area of AI that designs algorithms that take data and transform this data into a model that can be used to make statistical inferences, right? So if a computer science is machine learning is a computer science discipline that has been investigated for more than 40 years. Actually, what we are seeing now is that faster and cheaper computers, together with the abundance of data, have popularized algorithms and techniques that were invented decades ago, right? Deep learning that is very popular, the first reference in the literature is from 1986, all right? So to solve a complex problem with machine learning, one can just take some data, structure it in the right way, label the data using an expert, and a machine learning algorithm will be able to automatically learn the rules that allow to label new data. Of course, there are dozens of problems, and solving a specific problem end-to-end is not automatic at all. But the fact is that after that automation effort, you can get a high-level task performed at the human-level performance very efficiently and for a fraction of the cost. Let me show you a real-world example. There's a company in the Netherlands named JuryBlocks that has created a service named NDA Link, where you can upload an NDA in a Word document, and the system automatically tells you if you should sign that NDA or not. Even better, the system is capable of telling you which sentence or paragraph in your document are deal breakers or not acceptable, right? How does it work? Magically? No. The team behind NDA Link has worked very hard to compile many NDAs and then labeled this NDA sentence by sentence by recording where the content is acceptable or not. Then the data is fed to a machine learning algorithm that can learn a model that knows which combinations of words make a clause in an NDA acceptable or not. The key part of this example is that the very same approach can be implemented for other specific legal tasks. What does this mean? That many tasks that are performed by high qualified people are going to be automated. This makes a lot of business sense, not only in terms of speed and cost, but also performance. Obviously, the performance of the systems depend on the quality of the data, the quality of the labeling, and the quality of the end-to-end process. So to conclude this point, machine learning is a great tool to automate numerous sophisticated tasks and achieve human-level performance at a much speed and for a fraction of the cost. So, and now let me tell you about two business opportunities that I see ahead, all right? I believe we are going to see an avalanche of startups providing automated legal services that will fragment the industry. These startups will automate legal tasks one by one, challenging many processes in terms of performance and cost. And customers will be able to contract these services directly, or legal firms can end up being the major customers of these startups. We will also see the most innovative legal firms trying to automate certain tasks to become more efficient. However, it is going to be hard for incumbents to adapt and beat the internal resistance. Reinventing itself and coping with the innovator's dilemma are no easy tasks after all. So I do believe there are going to be two great opportunities. One is for new law firms that start completely from scratch with fully automated approaches to legal services. Think of what Amazon, Netflix, eBay did with the advent of the internet in the late 90s. It's a great time for innovators. Regardless, if I were an experienced lawyer or a new one, I will seriously consider starting a new company where everything is automated, making it really hard to compete in cost and performance. A firm where everybody shares the same passion for technology and efficiency. And the second opportunity is for companies that provide fully automated legal backends. The same way that in the last few years, we have seen companies like Stripe for payments, or Gusto for payroll management, or Zendesk for customer interaction. We are going to see a number of companies that automate the legal backend of tech-based companies. These companies will be taking care of 10Cs, investment agreements, stock option plans, board minutes, NDAs, privacy policies, commercial agreements, and so on and so forth, all in a fully automated way. So to recap, let me repeat the 3 points I wanted to make today. Unfortunately, we will only see and enjoy AI in movies over the next few years, so don't let science fiction influence your professional decisions. Machine learning can automate high-level tasks that can increase performance and productivity significantly. So for the legal sector, as well as for most sectors, it's not a matter of if, but of when your organization should adopt it. So start experimenting with machine learning before it's too late to make a difference. And finally, I see two fantastic business opportunities for legal machine learning to be used in the legal industry. If you're an experienced lawyer, passionate about machine learning, you are in a prime position to start your own firm from scratch to automate most tasks. If you're a passionate engineer interested in disrupting the legal industry, start your company to build the legal backend of the next 100,000 companies. All right? So that's all. Thank you for the time. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you so much. Julia, could you give the stage to Richard directly, please?
Okay.
Okay, so now it's Richard's turn.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can see your screen, but we cannot see your face. If you want first to introduce yourself so that...
Okay, I'll say a quick hello.
Yeah. Say hello to everybody. There you are.
Hello, everybody. So I'm Richard Tromans. I run Tromans Consulting. I should just say that I'm not a journalist at all. I'm a management consultant. I have been for about a decade. But that's okay. I can understand the confusion because I blog through Artificial Lawyer. But my day job, I'm a professional advisor to law firms on strategy and the adoption of technology such as AI. Anyway, I'm just going to give a bit of context now to what we've been talking about and try and sort of focus very much on the sort of business of law aspect. And I'm going to sort of disappear from the video and put up a little picture. There we go. Hopefully you can all see that. So first of all, let's just start off with a bit of history and put this in context. So, 250 years ago, there was a revolution. And this revolution was the Industrial Revolution. Before that time, there really was very little automation in the world. There were mills. That was about it. With the advent of the Industrial Revolution, we started to see a radical change in the economy and society with steam engines, which Paco made a great analogy with AI, machine learning, and steam power, which is fantastic. And this Industrial Revolution has changed everything. Manufacturing, clearly, transport, communications, and now in the last century and in this century, information technology, digital technology. And throughout this entire process, our entire society has changed. Lots of work has become automated, the purple bit up there. But if we look at the legal world, we see very, very, very little, well, until very recently, almost no automation. Primarily, the work of lawyers is still done in most law firms in a manual way. We have information technology that acts almost as a kind of support mechanism. So we have document management systems, we have billing systems, we use email, the internet, we have virtual data rooms. We're starting to see some interesting adoption of what I would call semi-automated, or in the green, assisted technology, which is things like Contract Express, where you're using a template with some automated drop-down menus to help you to complete a document, and that speeds processes up. But still, even there, really, we're not really automating very, very much until very, very recently. And that's why I think when we talk about legal AI, and in this context, sort of referring to what Paco said earlier, when I use the term legal AI, I am referring to very narrow AI, and usually in the legal context, we're talking about machine learning and natural language processing. Sometimes we're talking about expert systems, but clearly very, very limited, but quite powerful uses of that technology. And what we're seeing now is that some of the work that lawyers do is being taken away in a positive way by machines, by software. And this will have a tremendous impact on the way that law firms work, on the way that in-house legal teams work. And the entire business relationship will change, because when you start to consider what can be done already, then, if we look at the future, it's only going to expand. So let's just have a look at a couple of things that you can do. So if you use natural language processing, which is software that can read natural language text, like normal text, and can comprehend it and then give you information from it that it has analyzed. So, for example, a due diligence exercise in an M&A transaction, it can do the due diligence for you. It can look for the change of control clause, for example. Or it could conduct a risk analysis of a contract which hasn't been completed yet. Speeding up the process, taking on the actual legal work, taking on the cognitive tasks. It's what I call the industrialization of cognition, reading, comprehension, the production of legal text and ideas. And then we have expert systems, which were the original sort of forefather of AI. These were the original sort of structures before we moved into the data-driven stuff that we have today. And we have systems like, for example, Neotologic, where you're crystallizing the knowledge of a lawyer or a group of lawyers, and you're creating sort of a platform that you can then later, other people can interact with. So what you have done is that you've crystallized the knowledge of a lawyer, and you've effectively made it into a little machine which other people can work with. And fundamentally, what this is doing is just changing that relationship, because you're altering the way that lawyers work. You're sort of crushing this idea that all legal work has to be on the clock, that it's hourly billed, because a lot of that work now is being put into your sort of day-to-day computing. It's there on your desktop. And one third area, which I think is very interesting, is litigation prediction. And there's a number of AI companies doing this now. And sort of finally, the key point is this, that what all of these, and we'll talk about these in the questions, I'm sure, which Maria will ask, and I'm sure you will ask lots of great questions too. But what this is doing really is two or three different things. So fundamentally, when you automate something, what you're doing is you're increasing efficiency and productivity. So a team of 10 lawyers who perhaps could review 1,000 documents in a week, they can now train up the system, or perhaps they don't even need to train up the system because it's already been taught what to look for. You crystallize that knowledge in the software, and the AI system can zap through it. So you've massive increase in productivity, which allows a law firm to take on much greater volume. And that's an interesting thing for some of the smaller law firms who are competing with the larger law firms who have huge armies of paralegals. AI systems can actually help level the playing field a little bit. The other thing that it does is it allows lawyers to do higher value work, because you're not dragged down into doing all of this process work. There are other aspects as well, such as it could affect your cost basis. So, for example, the general counsel for a large company says, here is some process work, let's say it's a due diligence exercise. This is a fixed fee, which is completely reasonable these days. Many companies will give you a fixed fee. And they say, we don't care how you do this work. You know, if you don't make a profit, that's your fault. You know, you figure it out. And we want it by next Tuesday. What are you going to do? If you've got some type of automated system, machine learning system that is using natural language processing, it can do an enormous amount to help you, because it can zap through that. And of course, you will have to pay the software vendor, you know, Kira, Raven, Luminance, eBrevia, Seal, many other great, you know, legal AI companies out there. But you know, you'll amortize that cost pretty quickly, and then all of the, you know, the profit is protected. So you could actually protect your profit margins as a business. And probably one other thing is, when I think we do overlook this, there's a focus on productivity and efficiency, which is natural, but there's also the ability of legal AI systems, in a narrow sense, to deliver new value. And I just want to give one example, and then I'll jump off, which is, let's say, for example, you're a large company and there's a change in European law, which connects to the employees that you have. Employee contracts are all going to have to be reviewed. You have 100,000 employees across Europe. You're the GC. You think, my God, we're going to have to review all of our contracts. It's going to cost a fortune. And you sit there and you do a cost benefit analysis, and you think, maybe we're only going to get sued by 10 of the employees. Is it even worth doing this job? And you will probably say no, because a traditional law firm using traditional manual methods, the red cog, it's just going to be too expensive. You just can't do it. But now, with an AI system, you could train it up to look for the parts of legislation which will be encapsulated in certain clauses, which may be at risk, which may cause an issue, and you could run those 100,000 documents through it, you know, in a couple of days. So you're not just increasing efficiency and productivity, you're creating a new type of relationship with your client. You're improving that relationship fundamentally. You know, you're delighting them. You're doing things for them in a way that was just not possible before. Actually, let me just add one last final one, actually, which is the reduction of risk. I was talking to the people at Google, the legal team at Google in San Francisco yesterday, and they were telling me that they did a very interesting parallel test of document review against their own AI system, one that they'd actually built themselves. And some of the lawyers were very skeptical about the AI system, because they were saying, well, you keep telling us it's getting like 80, 90% accuracy. Well, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. We want 100% accuracy, because lawyers are always accurate. And the innovation team, the legal operations people, said, well, let's do an A/B test. Let's do a parallel test. And unsurprisingly, once the AI system had been trained up, it completely beat the lawyers, because the truth is that the lawyers were not half as accurate as they actually thought they were. And you know, that was quite a revelation to them. And then they became much, much more open-minded about using the AI system. So it could actually reduce risk. And I think in the future, we could see a situation where law firms who are not using AI systems will be put in a sort of more risky position. You know, clients might say, well, do I want to use this firm? You know, do they have the accuracy levels that I need? So, okay, I will leave it there, and then let's just let's open it to the questions then. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Richard. Let's, if I can, Julia, if you can give me the screen again, I will share the screen where I have the questions. Okay. Okay, I hope that you can see the questions. Let's start. I hope that you both, Richard and Paco, can hear me properly. And I don't know how does this work exactly. Whoever wants to answer should say it somehow, but I don't know how. Okay, so I pose the question and then you decide who's going to answer. So where is artificial intelligence today? I think that you already gave us some answers. At least I think I understand what your points of view are, but if you want to give us some more ideas on that, what is really the state of the art?
Well, I think Francisco could probably talk very well about the broader picture, but if I just quickly say something about the legal market, I did a survey of the UK 100 law firms in the autumn 2017, and all of the top 30 UK law firms are using an AI system, a machine learning, natural language processing system of some type. Every single one in the top 30, which is amazing. Now, they're either using it already for paid client work, or they're in a pilot, or they were in a pilot, with a view to doing paid work. And then when I asked the entire UK 100, they had various options. And one option was, we are not interested, or we are not interested yet. Not a single firm said they weren't interested. So that's the entire UK 100 moving into using some type of machine learning system already. And if you look in America, for example, Davis Polk, arguably one of the top firms on the planet, is now using Kira, and that's public knowledge. It's, you know, they announced that, you know, to do due diligence work, to speed up, because the clients, the investment banks, large corporates are saying, we don't want to pay your brilliantly clever, very expensive junior associates to do this work. Could you find a better solution? So when Davis Polk starts using an AI system to automate work that its brilliant young lawyers used to do, you know something has changed. And I think in the UK, another example, of course, is Slaughter and May, which has actually taken a financial stake in Luminance, which is another very, very good AI company that works in the due diligence area. And then across Europe, in Sweden, in France. France has got some fantastic legal AI companies developing, like Predictis, which is working in litigation analysis and prediction. You've got Leviton in Germany, which is doing some fantastic work in the real estate space. Singapore is getting very excited about it. China, Australia, you know, you name it. I was talking to a guy in Mexico the other day, and he started to develop a company which he hopes to eventually turn into a machine learning legal application. So, and the law firms in Spain as well, Cuatro Casas, Herrera, et cetera, they're all using different machine learning systems. So the level of adoption is extraordinary. If you think that 2 years ago, there were probably 5 law firms in the world using machine learning systems for due diligence exercises or compliance reviews or risk reviews. And now there must be, who knows, we don't even know the total number. We're into the dozens. And then if you add on expert systems, you know, the numbers are even higher. So, I mean, that is my, if anyone wants to take away one point, you know, from all of this, is that we are very, 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 very much already well into it. You know, things are already really happening.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Paco, do you want to add something to this question?
I agree. In general, as I tried to explain during the presentation, I will completely forget about artificial intelligence. You know, something general that adds like a lawyer that can be a general problem solver. I think that we won't see that anytime soon. But for a specific tasks, and many of the ones that Richard were mentioning, I think that there are going to be many of these specific tasks fully automated with machine learning. I think what we see now is more and more companies that are doing some kind of experimentation. There are a few of these companies that they do it right. They see that machine learning really works. You know, that they can transform a complicated task, you know, like a due diligence, into something simpler, you know, and more efficient, you know. And if you look at the cost, you know, and the fact that the machine learning system doesn't get injured, doesn't get sick, you know, doesn't stop for eating, and it's going to be doing everything very, very fast and very cheap. There are going to be more people that they want to automate more tasks following the same way. But this automation using machine learning is not something that you can do in a very straightforward way. The tools, the machine learning tools, like the one that BigML provides, are democratizing the fact that in order to use machine learning, you don't need to have a PhD in machine learning and knowing how the algorithms work at the deepest level. You can just understand what is the input and what is the output that the algorithm is going to give you, right? But it requires a lot of experience in the end-to-end process, you know, and a lot of knowledge about how the legal profession works, you know. And I think that the people that can mix both passions, you know, I want to do my work in a more efficient way because this is going to be benefiting my customers. I think that they have a real advantage of learning to use this very quickly, you know, and become more competitive. The same way, you know, that people start using editors, you know, and word processors many years ago, you know, because that was making the editing a document easier and faster, you know, and more repeatable. So the same thing they're going to do with machine learning. Now there's a learning curve, but I think that every year there are more tools that make things easier, you know, and it's a matter of adopting one of these tools and start experimenting.
Richard, may I ask you a question? You mentioned that you have done some research on who is using artificial intelligence in the UK. What about the small law firms? Are they doing something?
That is a question I get. I was literally on a call at lunchtime with a group of quite small firms. And it's a very interesting situation because obviously if you look at the legal market of any country, more than 50% of it, in some cases 70% of it, is controlled by very small law firms, and they're often working directly.
Even worse.
Exactly, small businesses, individuals, families, etc. There's a tremendous market for automated tools. However, of course, they feel slightly left out. But I think that will change. It will change. I think that at the moment, the legal AI companies are focusing on the big commercial firms because that is where there are clear business cases. And when I say big, I mean down to about, say, £15 million, $20, $30 million, which is, I don't know, I mean, it depends on your market, how big or small that is. But that's kind of where they're focused at the moment. But I think eventually it will go down. I mean, I know a firm that's about £20 million, and they're very seriously looking at AI systems. They're trying to figure out which ones they need. So, for example, you know, if they don't do a lot of M&A transactions, do they need a review-focused system? Perhaps they would actually be better off looking at expert systems that they can use internally. Some of the smaller firms, and this guy I was talking to at lunchtime, his law firm has just built a bot, you know, a legal bot that is outward-facing. Now, that's not an artificial intelligence system. It's not even a machine learning system. It's not even a natural language processing system. It's a pretty much a hard-coded, you know, interactive system, something you could actually knock out on Facebook, to be honest, with the software that they provide. However, what it shows is that some of the smaller firms are starting to think more creatively about this. They're starting to think we can use technology to interact with our customers. So that is a type of automation. So, and I think that's a very, very key point to make, actually. Let's not get sucked into only thinking about very, very powerful machine learning systems. Automation is a broad range of technologies. You know, you could automate some very, very useful systems in a law firm that would save you a lot of money and make you a lot of money, and it would not involve any machine learning. Then we can look at areas like smart contracts that are self-executing, and that's kind of coming down the road towards us now. And again, that doesn't have anything to do with machine learning. So don't get too bogged down in AI. I mean, AI is probably the most powerful technology in that overall market area, but it's only one part of it. So to answer your question more directly, I think smaller firms who don't have the money to pay £30,000, or what would that be, 40,000, 35,000 euros for an annual license for a AI doc review system, there are other things they can do. And also there are at least 1 or 2 AI doc review companies that are offering a sort of, it's kind of like a SIM deal, you know, with your mobile telephone, and you pay for what you use. So let's say you're a very small firm and you want that capability, but you only need to review 100 documents at a time. You can still do that with some companies.
Okay. Paco, in your experience, are there already tools that could be the right solution for a small law firm? Is your tool, for instance, good for small law firms?
Yes, and I think first of all, I agree with what Richard just said. You know that it's all about automation, right? And then there are basic tasks that you can automate with many tools. You don't need any machine learning at all, you know. And there are high-level tasks where machine learning can do a good job, you know, emulating what a human being can do, right? And obviously, the key element for machine learning to work is data, right? So as long as these small firms or big firms, they are good at managing their own data, you know, and they are good at labeling correctly their data, they can do a great job with machine learning. So sometimes it's not a matter of amount. There are big companies that have tons of data, you know, but they're very slow collecting their own data or managing their own data. You know, they work in a probably too very distributed fashion, right? On the other hand, the small firms, they can move very fast, you know, and also the legal market is very fragmented, right? Something that if you train a machine learning system to review NDAs in the Netherlands, the example I was given before, probably most of the training is not going to be working for reviewing NDAs in Spain, right? So you need to get new contracts that are written in Spanish, you know, that work according to the Spanish law, you know, and you need to train a new system, right? So I think that the key element is trying to make sure that you are very dynamic in terms of accessing to your own data, you know, and that you know what are the steps to put a machine learning system in place. The technology, the machine learning part is being democratized. In the case of BigML, we have been doing this now for more than 7 years, helping now more than 60,000 companies around the world to bring machine learning to their companies, right? So I think that part is there, you know, and there are many other companies like Google, Microsoft, you know, that they offer similar services, right? And I think it's a matter of choosing the right tool, right, and then make sure that you start playing with the right data. And if you don't have it, you know, you start making a habit inside your company to collect this data, to label the data the right way, thinking that at some point in time you're going to be able to automate these high-level tasks.
Okay, so the conclusion is that we lawyers should start looking very deeply into data and trying to collect data and understand data. So that's probably the first task that we have.
Every time that you do a contract or you review a contract, every time that you say, okay, this is okay, this is an okay, right? All that is knowledge that can be easily used by a machine learning algorithm to be trained to do your same job, you know? So tomorrow you need to review a similar contract, right? You don't need to spend as many hours reviewing exactly sentence by sentence. You can automate that task and have an algorithm that can tell you exactly where the parts where probably the algorithm doesn't have that much confidence and that you need to review in further detail, right? But they can remove many basic tasks from your desk, you know? I think that is the idea. But you need to be conscious about, okay, what I want to do is automate my daily tasks, you know?
Yeah.
And people
that's
they don't want to do it. Yep.
You know, Paco, that's a big difference between you, developers, and people from technology and us. We look at contracts like a collection of words with a meaning and a goal, and you look at words as a collection of data and as a database. And I think that's the first change of paradigm that we have to do. We have to start looking at contracts and looking at documents as a repository of information, as data. That's very challenging for us because it's a completely change of mindset. Let's go to the second question. Where will artificial intelligence lead us to?
Let's do the same pattern again. I'll just speak specifically about the legal market. I think, well, first of all, everyone needs to adopt it before we can, make any sort of further predictions. Like many areas of technology, until everybody is playing with it, using it, interacting with it, it's very, very hard to know where it will head. It's possible we might plateau for a while. Let's say that all the major law firms adopt AI review systems and litigation analysis systems and multiple expert systems internally. Okay, and let's say that absorbs, 10% of their traditional work. It's possible we might just coast, just maintain that level for several years until perhaps a new wave of technology comes along that makes it much easier to take it to a higher level. I mean, one of the interesting questions, and this is an interesting debate, particularly from a regulatory and ethical point of view, and that is that once expert systems and data systems are combined and are made much more sophisticated, why not use them to make judgments internally? Why not make them produce text? I mean, there are machine learning systems already that exist that use NLG, which is natural language generation. So rather than just reading, they're reading and then they're writing. So I do agree it's going to be a long way off. I'm certainly not one of these end of lawyers type believers. I don't think we'll ever get there. But at the moment, the level, if you think of a law firm as a pyramid, the people who are going to get hit first will be the paralegals. The junior associates will have enough skill and training, hopefully, to move upwards and do higher value work. Law firms are also likely to grow bigger. I think that's one of my theories is that with greater use of technology, the law firms that are very sophisticated will be able to take on more volume, perform better, reduce risk. They'll have higher profits. With higher profits, the equity partners will be more wealthy. They'll retain talent. They'll be able to hire talent, and they will then be able to go around the market and grow, consolidating. That may then lead to other situations. Some of the equity partners might just say, well, how far can we get? How far can we take this? How far can we automate this? And why not go up the next level? Why don't we get to the point of using expert systems and natural language generation to just, move into completely generating documents? You really don't. The only thing that the partner is doing is just looking at the final document and saying, okay. Now, we're not there yet, but within 10 years, I can't see why not.
Okay, Paco, do you want to add something, or because I would like we should go a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly explained by Richard. I totally agree, and the only point maybe is that there are the big ones, and I think that they are in a great position, but I do believe that there's a great, fantastic opportunity for new law firms that start from scratch. That this automation is in the genes of the funders, and they can offer the same services, high quality, high performance for a fraction of the price. I think that we're gonna see that. We need to see the Amazon of the legal services, and it's gonna be hard to compete with a company like this in 2 or 3 years, So I think I would like to see more legal entrepreneurs, people that really want to bring this to market and can be very experienced lawyers, that they see the great opportunity, or young lawyers, that also see the opportunity. Let's see.
Paco, if one of us wants to be one of these super artificial intelligence lawyer, what do we need to know and where can we learn it?
I think that I will choose a very simple legal task, right? And I will try to automate that task end to end, and then learn from the experience, see how this automation works. You know, I think a great thing about machine learning is that you can measure the performance of the algorithms. You know, you can know exactly what is the number of false positive and false negative that a model, a machine learning model is making. You know, sometimes we think that human beings, we are great, you know, making decisions, but we don't have metrics, you know, how many errors we made in the last contract that we sent to a customer, right? Maybe we learned that after a time, but in the case of machine learning, when you train a model, right, you can estimate the performance of the model, and then you can evaluate this in the real world, you know, and that kind of metric-oriented way to work. It's a nice way to see how things evolve, right? So the first step is take a simple task, make sure that you understand all the steps that are taken to go end to end, right? For the machine learning part, there are many tools, right? There are a lot of education classes, many ways where you can learn, okay, whether it's the best algorithm that I can apply to this type of data, you know, how to interpret what the model is telling you, you know, that is something that people need to learn the same way that people learn to use Word, you know, or many people have learned to use Excel, you know, so you need to there's that little learning curve, right? Sometimes take a week, sometimes take a few weeks, sometimes takes a few months. But automate your first task with machine learning, they go for the second, they go for the third, right? Then start automating, as Richard was mentioning before, many basic things that can be fully automated with the interaction with your customers, all the billing system, many things that make your company fully automated, right? So I think that, but start with a basic thing, for example, and make sure that you understand everything that it takes to make it right.
I would just say that, yeah, absolutely. Paco's absolutely right. I mean, a great example is, let's say you're an insurance law firm and you've got these very, very large insurance clients who are hit every day by literally hundreds of claims, yeah, coming from all around the world. And for the insurance companies, it's not really a legal issue, it's a financial issue. They're trying to understand their exposure. They want to know when they should settle a claim and when they should fight a claim, how long a claim of that type will probably last in court, and what the likely loss and damages are if they were to lose, and so forth. Now, any law firm that's been working in the insurance world for a long time, and there's many of those in many countries, could go back and look at all of its past cases, use natural language processing, and explore this old data and look for patterns and find out what certain types of cases generally look like, so they can then predict the outcome of similar new cases. So you can then go to the insurance company and say, well, I know you're always worried about your total exposure financially to all these legal cases that you're hit with, all these disputes. We can help you with that. I mean, that's just one, I wouldn't say easy, it's not easy, but that's one thing that you can just get right into, and it delivers value straight away, because what client is not going to love you for being able to do that for them? So it's just one example. And, you know, you can just go through, and here's another one, right? Go to a client and say, give us all your sales contracts over the last couple of years, you know, your whatever it is, your service agreements. Let us analyze them. We will analyze them using natural language processing. We'll look for certain patterns, for data that we know is important to you, and we will find the results. And we will show you what type of customer agreements are the most profitable for you, or the ones that later get challenged. So you can pick out really, really interesting data.
Richard, you mentioned a couple of times already examples of business cases, and in both cases you said something like this insurance company or this other in-house lawyer. So who is leading this change this change? Are the in-house lawyer telling their law firms, please bring me artificial intelligence in, or are law firms looking for solutions, better services for their clients? Who is leading this?
It's an interesting one. That's a good question. It's like it's like something that's being eaten at both ends. So you've got the legal innovators, so you've got the innovation team inside law firms, and the external vendors who are all very excited about what can happen. And usually 2 or 3 partners in a law firm who get it and can see what can happen, and they become like internal advocates for adoption. Then on the other side, you've got people like operations experts, legal operations experts inside the large companies who are working hand in hand with the general counsel, and they're saying, well, you're always moaning about how much everything costs. Have you thought about trying to automate some of these processes? And in terms of the general counsel, there's always something very problematic with general counsel, in that the internal legal teams, certainly for small to medium size and even some of the smaller large companies, don't have the budget to develop their own technology, and they tend to then rely on the law firms to provide solutions for them. So I've heard that, for example, one law firm told me in the UK that 60% of all our RFPs, requests for proposals to do work for that client, now contain a paragraph that says, are you using AI systems? What are you using them for? And how will it benefit us, the client? Now, how many of those clients actually know what they're even asking in that question? I do not know. Some of those people asking that question absolutely understand what they're asking and what it means. Others are literally just asking it because they're like, well, I guess we should ask that question. So it's kind of blurry in the middle, and it's sharp and clear at the ends. So the highly motivated operations people in big companies are pushing it, and the highly motivated innovation people in law firms are pushing it, and it's kind of like a bit grey in the middle.
Okay. Since we are not running out of time, because we want to finish at 8:30, but we want to devote some time to the audience questions. And we already answered number 4 and number 5 somehow. I'm going to jump into number 6, risk. Which are the risks of artificial intelligence? Can you both give us your opinion on this question?
Paco, do you want to go for that?
Yeah, I think this risk that people sometimes think about these machines that become self-conscious and start making decisions, and tries to destroy us, that is not going to be there, I don't see any imminent risk in that direction. Nothing is going to happen, right? And there are some risks in terms of how good your algorithm is performing, right? That you're not using the right data, that you're using a great sample of what an algorithm can find later when try to generalize and make inference by itself, right? And there are obviously some legal challenges, right, that are related to what type of data and using, right? But I think that this is regarding more when machine learning is used for making decisions for individuals, right? It can be biased because not because the algorithm intrinsically is going to be biased. There are certain ways to fix that problem, and more because the data that is being used to train the algorithm is already biased, right? So there is a lot of research now going on in time to make sure that in an automated fashion you can tell when the data is biased, right? So that you can train your algorithm in a way that is going to be doing more fair decisions, right? But this is probably something more related to end consumers that in the legal industry, right? Where as long as you can learn across all the tasks that you are doing when you are reviewing contracts, generating contracts, figuring out if a claim is going to be in one direction or the other, I think that there won't be those many risks. I think I always say the same thing, all right? When there's a new new technology, a new development in Europe. Many people only see risks, problems, right? And in the US, everybody sees opportunity, all right? So I think that we need to change our mentality. And I think that when I hear people in Europe telling about let's regulate AI, you know, when AI can basically do nothing with a human intervention, it's more like let's regulate what you can do with you know, with humans. You know, it's something that doesn't make sense. So I think that the risk problem is the lack of education. I think that is where people need to be educated on what can be done or what cannot be done. What is essential that people practice, right? That you find a problem that you want to solve and try to solve it, right? It's the best way you're going to be learning what you can do today with machine learning.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Paco just said. I mean, maybe we need to regulate regulators.
Yes.
But there are some genuine risks. There's a infamous case in America where a company designed an algorithm. Now, this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with machine learning or AI or anything. It's just an algorithm, which is just a formula, to put it simply. They created a formula to decide whether a person should be given parole, should be allowed to go home rather than having to stay in prison before their court session. And it was found to be completely biased against ethnic minorities. And this was because the person who had created this formula had just simply misunderstood the data. It was a bit of a sort of like empirical fallacy. They were sort of working on the assumption that, you know, because there's a lot of people who are very, very poor, who live in certain areas, who are ethnic minorities, who suffer from crime and revolting crime and so forth, that they are therefore high risk. And what they did, they just created this algorithm which effectively penalized anybody who was not kind of white and middle class. And that is terrible, obviously. So there are risks, and I think one of the problems is that regulators don't quite understand machine learning and AI and so forth, and they put the two things together, and it's like they're blaming the technology. But the reality was, it was probably just some guy sitting at a desk with an Excel sheet trying to create this thing. And it really didn't have much to do with technology. It was all about the biases and the lack of understanding in this person's head. But the problem was that bias then got crystallized. And it was actually sold, this software was sold to a court in America that started using it. So the court then started propagating, like a virus, this biased system. And that is dangerous, and that does affect lawyers. So we do have to be slightly careful, but let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, as we say. You know, the real problem was that the people messed this one up.
And there is for managing this risk, I think that there is an open field for lawyers, right? I think this morning or last night I heard about this case with an insurance company that was penalizing with a higher premium to these customers that they were using Hotmail, right? So obviously that is a rule that probably the system that they are using land, you know, that if people are using Hotmail, probably they are more propense to be hacked, you know, they are less qualified technically, all right? So you can use that and, okay, increase the premium to all these folks, you know, or I go and I educate my customers, you know, and say, okay, you need to switch. You cannot use an old system, you know. So there are many ways where this can be going in one direction or the other, but probably this the last I heard that this insurance company is going to be sued because they were discriminating this way, you know.
Exactly, and the irony is, and everyone's like jumping on AI's head and blaming, you know, evil robots and so forth. But the irony is that the better analysis of the real data will remove the bias. If, let's say, this company that created that crazy algorithm genuinely had collected all possible data on crime rates, on who commits crime, why they commit crime, when, why, how, really did a proper job on it, they may have actually found that, you know, things were completely different to how they assumed. And they could have actually used natural language processing to various textual information that might be useful, and then look for patterns and so forth. And then they could have created an algorithm, a predictive algorithm that actually would have been useful. So for me, I always say that, you know, as Paco said, it goes back to the data. If you've got good data, genuinely solid representative data, then, you know, you're on solid ground. The risk is that people go charging in head first, don't quite understand what they're doing, and create crazy models, which then propagate bias. At the moment, obviously, in the document review, that's not going to happen because, you know, you're just looking for a change of control clause, you know. But yeah, once you start getting into litigation stuff, that does become scary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to tell you, Richard and Paco, that we have a lot of questions, really a lot. It's a bit difficult for me to choose which ones I'm going to ask you to answer. I'm waiting for an email where Julia is going to put all of them together, and I will try to analyze them at the same time I listen to you. Sorry, I had to leave for a second because I realized that my telephone was running out of battery and I needed to get this question, so that's why I ran away for a second. Let's go to the next question. What should happen for artificial intelligence to become a standard tool for legal professionals? Which kind of factors are going to help so that this technology is introduced in a normal, in our normal day in law firms, in the judiciary, and in all kind of the professional organizations, legal professional organizations?
I think, well, I think it's an easy one to answer for some areas. I think you have to look at this practice by practice, because, you know, as we all know, you know, law is a very, very, very diverse profession. You know, one type of practice is radically different to another.
Yeah.
The work that IP lawyers do is radically different to the work that, say, a tax lawyer does, a corporate lawyer does. So it's going to run down practice groups and particular areas of law. The idea that there's going to be any kind of universal standard, I can't quite see how that would work. And we may create.
So where do you see it happening first? In which kind of practice areas?
It's already happened. It is literally under our noses already happened, and that is for M&A. M&A due
M&A.
The biggest transactional law firms on the planet have effectively, sort of unconsciously, created a new standard, which is using the natural language processing capabilities of these, you know, well-established legal AI companies. And I would have thought within 18 months, pretty much every major transactional firm will be using some of this technology, even if they don't publicly talk about it, because, you know, just the expectation of the clients, once, like I say, Davis Polk, Slaughter and May, Clifford Chance, Freshfields, you name it, they're all using this technology. How is it not going to become a standard? So I think that's a definite. I think litigation prediction as well. I mean, LexisNexis is doing some great work with Ravel and Lex Machina in the US. You've got several other companies in the US doing great stuff. You've got Predictive in France, other interesting systems as well in the UK. Like Case Crunch. I think that is going to become another standard. I mean, clients would literally, say, so what does your AI prediction tool say? And if you say, I don't know what you're talking about, what do you mean AI prediction tool? They'll just be like, oh, I thought you were already using one. So I think those are two for definite. Okay.
Paco, do you want to give your overview on this?
No, I think Richard explained it very, very well. And that if you're ready to take some questions from the audience, that will be great.
Okay, so the last question, I think you already answered to that, Paco, saying that no, it's not a threat, but an opportunity. So let's jump into the questions. Let me open the document and give me a couple of seconds so that I am able to analyze a little bit what we have here. So it was a first question on asking me whether artificial intelligence is 75% at this moment marketing. Well, I don't know if the percentage is 75%, but I'm sure that it's a marketing tool and that many law firms are like competing, like as usual, because lawyers, I don't know why, but we like looking at others, and we jump in when others are doing it. We are traditional, conservative, and we don't like risk because we see the risk that our clients have and we don't want to take it. So probably that's the reason. So yes, at the moment it's a lot of marketing on it, and I think Richard mentioned it. A lot of law firms are doing pilots. So well, it's a pilot marketing. I think it's trying. You have to see if this is worthy, and I guess that is also a big change, and it's probably a big investment. So I think that with that, I gave my point of view on this. Paco, they're asking you about, I guess, what issues relating to artificial intelligence should students joining the legal profession be aware of? So they want to know, probably for the training of new lawyers, what do they have to know about artificial intelligence? If you want to answer that one, I will be looking at the next questions and trying to choose
Again, I think recently we saw 2 weeks ago we saw like the Columbia Law School, in New York. They were starting a class of 80 people start using BigML, to receive some training in how to analyze certain contracts, right? So I think it's a matter of finding a public data set if you don't want to play with your own data, and seeing what you can do with the current tools, right? Seeing this and trying to do this in a end-to-end process, and then when you're ready and you understand how machine learning works, you can try the same process with a certain task, that where you feel that you have some data that can be analyzed by the algorithm. Obviously, if your data is in a Word document, you have many Word documents, you need to do some processing on that data, that is part of the end-to-end machine learning cycle. But there are now plenty of places where you can go and you can learn about education. If you go to bigml.com/education, you can see everything that we offer for training people that they are not software engineers or they are not developers, that they want to learn how this works, So I think and playing, for example, playing with BigML is free. You can create an account, you can start seeing what you can do with basic data sets. You can then try to do more complex data sets. But the same way that you learn to use Word, for the first time, the very first days was very complicated, and then you learn all the features, everything that you can do. I think that there are the people that are still using WordPress or things that they're very no WordPress, WordPerfect. These are very, very old fashioned, and I think that the key thing, is for people within their legal field, if they are a smaller one, are going to be easier, is identifying the real innovators, the people that not only read and not only know about this is going to happen, but the guys that they're the guys and gals that, they're willing to risk, willing to really do these baby steps of trying something. And this is going to be very useful in their profession. It doesn't matter if it's within this legal thing or another. You go and see how this works. This is going to be useful for many years ahead. So I think that these real innovators is the key thing to find people that start talking and start doing. I think that is the key.
Can I just say one thing? I mean, for students, if they're listening, or people who are sort of junior associates or trainees, one thing that they can definitely do is get involved in hackathons. If you look on artificiallawyer.com, there are 2 big news stories about 2 different global legal hackathons. One is called the Global Legal Hackathon, and then there's another one which is very much focused on smart contracts and blockchain, which is being run through Legal Hackers, which is a fantastic global organization. And those are just two. There are legal hackathons springing up in different countries, legal hacker groups organized in many, many big cities. There are some projects with legal AI companies and universities. I know ELTA Live, which is focused on expert systems, does a lot of work with different universities around the world. So, I think there are some great opportunities. If you go along to those events, you will be able to join a team. You'll probably meet more experienced people, and they can train you a little bit, and you'll get a feel for things. So yeah, I think there's plenty of opportunity to get involved. One thing that I probably would recommend that you don't worry about too much is like trying to sign up for like a machine learning course, at MIT, because the objective is that you become good lawyers. You should be absolutely aware of technology and what you can do with it. But I think very few lawyers are going to end up becoming machine learning coders. Unless that's really what you want to do, and then you want to go off and become a legal entrepreneur and create the next Kira or Raven. But yeah, check out, look at Meetup, go to the Legal Hacker site, go to the global Legal Hackathon site, check them out.
Okay, I have been checking the questions, and we have a real I don't know if you can see me. I've been checking the questions, and we have a real problem, and is that there are so very many, and some of them so interesting, that I think it would be unfair to ask you one more and not ask the others. So I'm going to propose you something, is that we share with you the questions, and that you write some kind of piece for us, for ELTA. So we publish the article of the two of you, and you can have the chance to answer the audience their doubts. Do you agree with that? Because I think that otherwise we're going to end very late, and I would like to finish in 5 minutes because it was 8:30 or we're ending time.
Yeah, sure. And if ELTA will have us back, why don't we do a part 2 and we can address some of those key questions?
That could be also another option. So I'm so very sorry, but really there were plenty of questions, and I don't think it's feasible to ask them all. Let me then.
I say so, Maria. I was going to say one thing. If people want to send questions to me at Richard at tromansconsulting.com, or you can come to me via the Artificial Lawyer website. Very, very happy to engage with people. Okay.
Paco, do you agree with my proposal?
Yes, perfect. No problem. Can on me.
Okay. Thank you then very much for your comprehension to the two of you. Thank you for sharing your time with us. And I would like to do a little summary of what we have learned. So first of all, Paco has told us that artificial intelligence is not fiction, it's real. But we shouldn't be afraid, because artificial intelligence is not like what fiction is showing us. Machine learning is what is up to us, is there. We should try to learn about it. Artificial intelligence is based in 4 pillars: data, algorithm, models, and outcome. We lawyers, we have to start thinking and looking for the data we need to create our own artificial intelligence. There are 2 kinds of opportunities, business opportunities, that Paco has told us that we have. One is, why not create a fully automated law firm? The second one is, why don't we automate some of the processes that we are doing manually at the moment? He has shown us a business case that has been created with his tool, BigML, called NDA Lean. It's a Dutch tool, and for the good purpose or the functioning of this tool, lawyers have been essential, but they have been working hard. So we have to start identifying things that we can automate, simple ones. He suggested us train, see what the outcome is, and learn by doing. I hope that I have made a good summary of the lessons that you has generously given. Richard has explained us the evolution from manual to assisted to automatization. He has told us that there are two main artificial intelligence uses at the moment: for litigation, for prediction, and for massive document analysis. The second one is being used by all big law firms in the UK. A lot of them have got pilots now, and here in Spain and in many other countries, I think the same is happening. Why people are using these kind of tools? For several reasons. In the opinion of Richard, with machine learning, we can reduce cost of legal services, we can concentrate on complex tasks, we can deliver new value, we can improve customer relationship, we can reduce risk, and we can for sure make more money. So a lot of reasons to understand, learn, and maybe buy artificial intelligence solutions. Richard mentioned something which I think is quite important, and is that lawyers should change our thoughts about accuracy. A lot of us think that we are perfect or nearly perfect, but that's not the truth. Some experiment they did show that we are not so accurate as machines are not. But why not using machines when we can get so many benefits? What else is interesting? We have been talking a lot about who is trying artificial intelligence and why, and Richard explained us that sometimes clients are asking for it, sometimes it's the initiative of law firms to introduce this kind of solutions. We have been discussing about risk, and yes, there's some risk, because we have to train the algorithm as we learn, and there are bias, but there are also risks in life, so we shouldn't be afraid, and we should learn about artificial intelligence. There is an opportunity for us, and it will probably ask a lot of effort, but the opportunity is there, and we should not look to the other side. I want to thank you all. I also want to thank you for mentioning legal hackers, for mentioning the global hackathon, and for telling about all these opportunities which are there for us to be better trained in legal tech. Thank you for joining us for this first webinar. I hope that the first of a very long serial of webinars. I hope to have you back in some months, and thank you so much. This is recorded. It will be in YouTube, and we will probably publish as well the pieces that Richard and Paco have been invited to write for us. Thank you so much to everybody, and have a good evening.